Welcome back to another tutorial. In this video I would be sharing how I made this short with elastic waistband. The good thing about this short is that it has pockets on both sides. Very simple, easy to make, and it's something you can easily wear on a hot afternoon. If you want to learn how I did this, kindly keep on watching and let us jump into this tutorial. To begin this tutorial, I have gone ahead to cut out a portion of my fabric that I believe would be enough. The length of this fabric is about 24 inches and I left 1.5 inch for the elastic casing. So the first thing I will do is to mark out my elastic casing, and that is going to be 1.5 inch. After marking that out, I'll roll it into a straight line. So it is from this line I'll be taking all of my other measurements. From that line, I'm going to be marking my crotch depth of 10.5 inches. I'll roll it into a straight line. Next, I am going to be marking 2 inches below the crotch line. This is where I will be placing my tie round measurement. I would also roll it into a straight line. After that, I'll be marking the length of my short alongside my sewing allowance, and that gave a total of 21 inches. I would also roll it into a straight line. It is now time to place my horizontal measurement, but before that I'll be marking 1 inch away from the folded edge of this fabric. That would serve as my side seam allowance. Then on my crotch line, I will be marking 1/4 of my hip measurement away from the 1 inch allowance. I would add 1/2 inch for ease and then mark 2.5 inch for my crotch extension. Moving on to the waistline, I will be using 1/4 of the hip measurement. This is because of the elastic I'm going to be having around the waist. Next, I'm going to be connecting the both points together, and then I'll be drawing my crotch curve. After that, I'm going to be marking the entire measurement I have on the crotch line, including the crotch extension. Get the midpoint and mark that same midpoint on the tie line and also on the full length line. Moving on to the tie line, I will be marking 1/4 of my tie round measurement plus seam allowance 1/2 inch on either side of the midpoint that I marked. This would mean that I have added half of my tie round measurements on my fabric. On the knee line, this is the midpoint, so what I will do is to just deduct 1 inch from the measurement I have on the tie round and place it on the knee line or the full length line. I'm not using my exact knee round measurement because it is a short and I want it to be free around the knee area. I'll connect all the points together. Then moving on, I'm going to be marking 1 inch side seam allowance from the waist all the way down to the full length. Then I would go ahead and cut out my short. This part I just drafted is the front. Once I'm done, I would be using the front to cut out the back. So this is what the front part of my short is looking like. Moving on to the back, here I am going over to fold my fabric into 2, which I have done. Next, I will be placing my front on my fabric. The back is going to be pretty simple. I just need to add some allowances. So the first allowance I will do is to mark 1 inch at the crotch area. Just follow what I'm doing. Then at the waist area rather, then at the crotch area I'm going to be coming downwards by 1/2 inch, and I'll mark 1 inch extension for ease. I'll blend that measurement into the knee the knee, the full length. Then I'll connect that 1 inch I marked from the waist all the way down to my new crotch. I'll be raising the back waist by 1 inch and I'll connect it to the side. You might not need to do this since we are going to be having an elastic, but you can still do it anyways. After that, I will be cutting my back out. So this is what my back is looking like. The back waist is slightly raised and the crotch is extended by 1 inch. Next, I would be drafting my pocket. To do this, I would be folding a portion of my fabric into 2. Then I'll be marking 8 inches downward. I would also mark 8 inches across beneath. Then I'll be drawing a D shape. So I'll just go ahead and draw that D shape to meet up with the 8 inches. Ensure my hand can fit in, and I'll cut this out. I'll be placing my fabric on fold again into 2, and I'll be duplicating this pocket. It is now time to begin sewing. So here I have the front right here. I'll be placing right sides against each other. I'll go ahead and sew it down along the crotch. I would repeat likewise for the back. I am done sewing and this is what I've got. Before I proceed to join the front and the back together, I would need to fix the pocket. So I'll be illustrating with one part of my trouser. Remember we added 1.5 inch for the elastic casing, so I'll be marking 2.5 inches downward from the waistline. I'll pick one of my pockets, making sure right side faces my fabric. I'll pin it down. I'll repeat likewise for the other side of my trouser. Mark 2.5 inches beneath the waistline. Pin my pockets from that 2.5 inch. I'll proceed and join it down. So I'll be repeating likewise for the other parts of my trouser piece. Once I'm done pinning, guys, I'll proceed to my sewing machine and join them down. This is what my trouser is looking like so far after joining it down. So what I'll do now is to place right sides against each other. I'll make sure that the waistline aligns properly and the pockets also align. I'll proceed and join it across just the way I am illustrating with my hand. So just go ahead and sew this down. Once I am done sewing the sides, I would also need to close up the inseam. After sewing, guys, this is what I have. This is what my trouser is looking like. I'll just turn it inside out, and this is what I've got. My pocket is well placed, as you can see. It is now time to proceed. So what I will do next is to turn the hem of this trouser. So the allowance I added to the hem was 1.5. So just go ahead and turn in 1/2 inch and fold over 1 inch. I'll pin it down and also use my hand to create the fold so that it can be easy for me to sew on the sewing machine. After I'm done with that, I would also be creating my elastic casing. So I'll open up my waist area this way and proceed to fold in my elastic casing. I am done with the process I just illustrated. I've gone ahead to sew down my hem. Also, I've gone ahead to create my elastic casing. Now, while sewing my elastic casing, I left some space, about 3 inches, and this would enable me to pass my elastic through. This is the elastic I'm going to be using for this trouser. It is 1 inch in height. So what I'll do is to place a safety pin at one end of the elastic. I would also be placing another safety pin at the other end of the elastic. I would secure that to one end of my elastic casing. Then with the other end, I will be passing the elastic through. I secure that end so that my elastic does not run through while trying to pass it through. This is what I have after passing the elastic through. Before I go on to secure the elastic, I'll be measuring my waistline to be sure it will fit in properly on my waist. Once I've gotten the desired measurement, I would then bring out the elastic, secure it together, proceed to my sewing machine and sew it down. So I'll be taking off that excess elastic as I do not need it. Also, I'll be covering up the space I left. Guys, I am done with the short and this is what it looks like. You know what, I love the simplicity of those shorts, the fact that I can easily put it on, wear it out, wear it to the mall. You know, it's just very simple, easy to make and easy to wear. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a huge thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button and I would see you all in my next video. Goodbye.